All right, trombone players, this video is for you for putting your instrument together, taking it apart, how to hold it, all of those very important first steps to playing your instrument. You'll notice when you open your case, your trombone is going to come in two big pieces plus your mouthpiece. The section with the bell on it is the bell section of your trombone. Then you've got your slide section of your trombone. The important thing about the slide section is that there is actually a lock for your slide. So this is going to be the little on the shorter side. You should have a little lock that twists around and catches onto your slide so that when you're moving with your trombone, or if you have to pick it up and move it somewhere or put it down to use the washroom, something like that, your slide's not going to fall off of your trombone. So the lock is important if you're kind of moving around or if you're kind of picking your instrument up to get ready to play. Always good to have your lock on so then your slide's going to stay together. You do actually have two pieces of your slide. There's the outer slide, which is the part that you're going to move when you change your notes in your different slide positions. And then your inner slide are the inner tubes of that slide, and that kind of helps to guide your slide of where it needs to go. Those pieces do come apart, so if your slide goes out far enough, those pieces will come apart. I don't recommend taking your slide off because sometimes what can happen is you can put your slide back together, but it might be upside down, and then it's going to be really hard to play, not going to work properly, and your spit valve, which we will talk about later, is not going to be in the right place to let the spit out of your instrument. So if that does happen, I can help you put it back together. You always want to be very careful because those tubes actually are, they're very flexible and they will bend. And if they do get bent, you're going to have to take it to the repair shop to get it fixed. So you always want to be very careful with that. Use your slide lock whenever you're not using your slide, and that's going to help your slide to stay in good condition. So you're always going to be able to use it, and it's not going to be hard to play. So outer slide, inner slide. At the end of your slide is your spit valve. So this is your water key. Sometimes we call it spit valve, but that's just going to let the moisture that accumulates inside drain out of your slide when you're playing. So if you're noticing you're getting kind of a gurgly sound when you're playing, your spit valve is down here. You're just going to go over a garbage can, or if you're at home, you can do this into the sink and wash the sink out. So you're just going to open that up with one hand and you're going to blow air through your trombone to get rid of all of that moisture that's inside. It is condensation because your breath is warm, instrument is colder than your breath. So little water droplets will gather up inside of your instrument and cause that to accumulate. So then you have to let it out sometimes. So you will have to get rid of that condensation inside of your instrument every once in a while. But it shouldn't actually be spit. It is just condensation. There are little water droplets inside. Okay. When you're putting your instrument together, you're going to take your slide piece. You can actually hold it in your right hand. So in your right hand, you're going to hold your slide kind of facing you. And on the longer side of your slide, that is where you're going to connect your bell. So you're going to carefully twist those two pieces together. And you're going to kind of make a right angle. So if you slide it up or stand it up in front of you, right, I'm going to kind of make like a letter L or a right angle with my slide and my trombone and my bell. So I'm going to kind of create that shape there. I got my lock on my slide so I can let it go. It's not going to fall. And then you're going to twist the screw together that's going to hold those pieces together. You want to make sure that's pretty tight because you don't want your trombone to kind of flop over on you or fall apart. When you're playing, you want to make sure that that is tight when you're assembling those two pieces. So now when you tighten that screw up, your pieces are going to be held together. And basically now if I'm looking at my trombone, I've got the bell, I've got the slide that's kind of sticking up here. You can kind of see all those different angles. I'll kind of show you this way. If you were actually playing, your trombone is going to look like that. So you're kind of looking, this is where your mouthpiece is going to go. This is the weight on your trombone that helps to balance it. That's going to go over your shoulder. Bell is facing forward, and you're ready to play. So when you're holding trombone, you do hold the majority of the weight of your trombone with your left hand. So your left hand is the one that's going to be holding it. Your right hand is going to be using your slide. So when you're holding your trombone, you actually are going to grab in between those two braces or two kind of connectors on your slide. So you're going to grab right in between those two, and you're going to grab with your kind of middle finger, ring finger, and pinky and hold there. Your pointer finger is actually going to point across that top brace towards the hole for your mouthpiece. That's going to stop your trombone from flopping over on you. So your finger is actually going to help to balance your trombone when you're using that. So you're going to grab between those two connectors on your slide. You're going to grab in between there. Pointer finger points across towards your mouthpiece. And then your thumb, you got a couple of options. I usually keep my thumb kind of just around the back of my trombone, like I'm making the letter L. And then my L shape is going to go onto my trombone. So I can hold there, or if you want to kind of bring it around and hold above where the brace is, close to where the bell is, you can hold your thumb up there as well. If you need to kind of feel a little bit more secure that way, you can always hold your thumb there as well. But kind of find a comfortable spot for your thumb. You can have it right next to your pointer finger if you want to, and kind of bring it around the back, wherever is comfortable for your thumb. But the important thing is that you've got that, you're holding in the right spot, and your pointer finger is pointing across to where your mouthpiece goes. For your slide hand, your right hand, you're going to grab, undo your slide lock. So now your slide is able to move. And you're always going to grab with your thumb and your first two fingers on that brace on the slide. So now when I'm moving my slide, I'm going to grab my slide with my thumb and my first two fingers. So now I'm going to be more flexible with my wrist, and I'm going to be able to move quickly to my different slide positions. So thumb and first two fingers on your slide after you've opened up your lock. And when you're ready to play, your trombone is going to rest over your left shoulder. And you're going to be holding with your left hand. You're going to bring your mouthpiece up to you, and your right hand is going to be moving your slide. Okay, so double check and make sure you've got your trombone assembled the right way. And whenever you're doing rest position, or if I say rest position in class, you're always going to stand your trombone up in front of you on the floor. You've got a little stopper at the end of your slide, and that's going to rest on the carpet straight up and down. And it's going to just sit right in front of you so that when you're ready to play, all you need to do is just lift it up and you're ready to go. Okay, but otherwise, a good way to check that if it's together right, the bell of the trombone, the part that this sound comes out of, is always going to be on your left side. Your slide part of your trombone is always going to be on your right side. So just making sure that if you're looking at it and something looks funny, make sure you can always just readjust it, flip it around the other way if you need to, and then just tighten up the screw that holds those together. Okay, when you've got your mouthpiece, I'm going to put my slide lock on. You're going to just take your mouthpiece, very gently drop it into the hole where it belongs, give it about a half a twist, and then you're done. You don't need to force your mouthpiece in like all brass instruments. You just need to kind of drop it in place, give it a twist, and then you're done. You don't need to push it. You don't need to slam it in there and crank it in to make it tight. It's going to get stuck. And if it gets stuck to the point of not being able to come out anymore, then you're going to be paying for repairs for your instrument to try to get that removed. So you always want to be very careful. You don't need to force it. It will stay in there without a problem. You just kind of drop it in, give it a half a twist, and then you're finished. You don't need to jam it in there. You don't need to slam it into your trombone. Okay? If that does happen over time, what will happen is the metal of where your mouthpiece fits into will actually start to snap. And then your mouthpiece is going to keep getting stuck farther and farther and farther inside of your slide, essentially. And eventually what will happen is they will have to do some trombone surgery and remove that whole part of your instrument and that part of your slide. And they will have to either replace that, or they might ask you to buy a whole new instrument. So you always want to be very careful, and as tempting as it is to kind of, make that popping sound with your mouthpiece and slamming your hand over top of it, it makes a really neat sound, yes, but what you're actually doing is you're driving your mouthpiece farther and farther into your instrument. Eventually, that's not going to come out, and you're going to have to pay for some very costly repairs. So you always want to try to take care of your instrument the best you can and try not to damage things that don't need to be damaged, okay? So just making sure that you've got everything assembled correctly and making sure that everything's facing the right way. You're holding with your left hand, pointing up towards your mouthpiece, making that letter L with your left hand. And then your right hand, your thumb and first two fingers are what's going to be moving the slide, okay? Next video, we're going to go over how to make a sound and also how to move your slide into those different positions. Good luck!